Have you ever felt paralyzed by fear, as though it's an invisible force holding you back from living the life you truly want? Fear is a natural emotion, one designed to protect us, but when it takes over, it can rob us of our confidence, opportunities, and even our dreams. Today, we're going to explore how you can overcome fear and take control of your life. This isn't just about facing your fears. It's about transforming them into a source of strength. If you've ever felt like fear is standing between you and your goals, this journey is for you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Below, the view is breathtaking, but the thought of stepping closer fills you with dread. This is fear, a mix of instinct and imagination, warning us of danger, but also planting seeds of doubt. The good news is fear is not your enemy. It's a signal. It's your mind's way of saying, pay attention. The question is, how do you respond to that signal? Step 1 is understanding fear. Fear is rooted in the brain's amygdala, the part responsible for detecting threats and triggering the fight or flight response. While this system was essential for our ancestors to avoid predators, in modern times, it often activates unnecessarily, whether it's public speaking, making a big decision, or starting something new. The first step to overcoming fear is recognizing it for what it is, a protective mechanism that sometimes overreacts. Let's talk about the power of awareness. When you feel fear, your heart races, your palms sweat, and your thoughts spiral. Instead of resisting these sensations, what if you acknowledge them? Take a deep breath. Ground yourself in the present moment. Say to yourself, I feel fear, and that's okay. By naming your fear, you take the first step toward disarming it. Fear thrives in the shadows, but when you bring it into the light, it loses its grip. Once you've acknowledged your fear, it's time to reframe it. Fear is often a product of the stories we tell ourselves. I'll fail, I'm not good enough, or this will never work. These are not facts, they're assumptions. Challenge them. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And if it does, how would I handle it? More often than not, the reality is far less terrifying than the story. Remember, fear is a sign you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and growth only happens outside of that zone. Next, let's talk about action. Fear feeds on inaction. The longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. The antidote? Take a small, manageable step forward. If you're afraid of public speaking, start by practicing in front of a mirror. If you're scared of rejection, try initiating a simple conversation. Each step builds momentum, and with each victory, no matter how small, fear begins to fade. Visualization is another powerful tool. Close your eyes and picture yourself succeeding. Imagine the confidence, the relief, and the pride you'll feel once you've conquered your fear. Your brain doesn't distinguish between imagined success and real success. So by visualizing, you're training it to associate your fear with positive outcomes. Support is also crucial. Fear isolates us, making us feel like we're alone in our struggles. But the truth is, everyone experiences fear. Share your feelings with someone you trust. Seek guidance from those who've faced similar challenges. Knowing you're not alone can be incredibly empowering. Finally, let's address failure, the root of many fears. What if I told you that failure isn't the end, but a step on the path to success? Every failure teaches us something, shaping us into stronger, wiser individuals. Instead of fearing failure, embrace it. See it as proof that you're trying, growing, and moving forward. Remember, the only true failure is never trying at all. As we wrap up, here's a truth to hold on to. Fear is not a barrier, it's a guide. It points you toward what matters most, toward the goals and dreams that are worth the risk. By understanding fear, reframing it, and taking action, you can transform it from a force that holds you back into one that propels you forward. But let's take this a step further. What if fear isn't just a guide, but also a mirror? A mirror reflecting not only our vulnerabilities, but also our strengths. Think about it. Fear arises because something matters to you. It's a signpost highlighting what you care about deeply, whether it's achieving success, protecting loved ones, or stepping into your true potential. When you feel fear, it's worth asking yourself, what is this trying to teach me about myself? Perhaps it's showing you where you need growth or courage, or maybe it's reminding you that you're on the verge of something meaningful. Now, let's explore the idea that fear can coexist with bravery. Too often, we believe that to be brave means to be fearless. But true courage doesn't come from the absence of fear. It comes from the willingness to act despite it. Picture a climber scaling a towering mountain. They're not fearless. They're acutely aware of the risks. But each step they take, each handhold they reach for, is an act of defiance against the fear that whispers, "Stop." In this way, fear and courage are partners, not opposites. Every time you take a step forward, you're not just moving closer to your goal. You're reshaping your relationship with fear itself. Let's also talk about patience. Overcoming fear is not a one-time event. It's a journey. It requires persistence, self-compassion, and the understanding that setbacks are part of the process. Some days, fear will win the battle. You might retreat, freeze, or avoid the challenge altogether. And that's okay. Progress isn't linear. What matters is that you keep showing up, even if it's with small steps. Each attempt chips away at the power fear holds over you. Each effort strengthens your resolve. And what about the unexpected gift of fear? Fear can heighten your senses, sharpen your focus, and awaken a kind of raw energy you didn't know you had. Think of performers who channel stage fright into electrifying performances, or athletes who transform pre-game jitters into peak performance. Fear, when embraced, can be a source of power. It's an untapped reservoir of adrenaline and determination, waiting for you to harness it. Finally, let's reimagine fear as a compass. What if the things you're most afraid of are also the things that will lead to your greatest growth? The job opportunity that feels overwhelming, the conversation you're dreading, the leap of faith you're hesitant to take. These are often the moments that hold the most potential for transformation. By leaning into fear instead of running from it, you align yourself with the path of progress and possibility. So the next time fear arises, don't push it away. Welcome it. Study it. Ask yourself what it's trying to show you and where it's leading you. Remember that fear is not a wall to be broken. It's a door to be opened. And beyond that door lies a version of yourself that is braver, stronger, and more capable than you ever imagined. But what happens when that door feels too heavy to push open? When fear doesn't just whisper doubts, but shouts them so loudly that it drowns out your confidence. In those moments, it's important to remember that you're not alone. Fear is a universal experience. Every hero you admire, every person you see as successful has faced fear. The difference isn't that they were fearless, it's that they found ways to navigate through it. Let's take a closer look at what it means to navigate fear. Imagine fear as a thick fog. When you're driving through fog, you don't speed up or stop entirely. Instead, you slow down, focus on the road ahead, and take it one step at a time. Fear works the same way. You don't have to eliminate it or charge recklessly forward. You just have to keep moving. Adjust your pace, keep your eyes on your goals, and trust that the fog will eventually lift. One strategy for managing fear is to break it into smaller pieces. Fear often feels overwhelming because we look at it as one massive obstacle. But what if you could divide it into manageable parts? Let's say you're afraid of a big presentation. Instead of focusing on the entire event, start with one small task. Write the opening sentence, then practice it out loud. Gradually, each small success builds confidence, and before you know it, the larger fear doesn't seem so intimidating. Another approach is to shift your perspective on failure. Fear thrives on the idea of what if? What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? But what if you reframe those questions? What if failure is a step toward success? What if embarrassment is just a fleeting moment in a larger story of growth? Picture a child learning to walk. They stumble, fall, and cry, but they get back up again and again until walking becomes second nature. That's how we grow, through trial and error, through stumbles and recoveries. Now consider the power of preparation. Fear often arises when we feel unprepared or out of control, but preparation can be a powerful antidote. Think of an actor before a big performance. They rehearse their lines, practice their movements, and visualize the applause. This preparation doesn't eliminate stage fright, but it gives them the tools to face it. Whatever you're afraid of, preparation can be your shield and sword. It doesn't guarantee success, but it equips you to face the challenge with confidence. Let's not forget the importance of self-compassion. Fear has a way of making us feel small, inadequate, or unworthy. But it's crucial to remember that fear doesn't define you. It's just a feeling. Treat yourself with kindness in moments of fear, as you would a friend. Remind yourself that fear is temporary and that courage doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means showing up even when it's hard. One often overlooked aspect of overcoming fear is curiosity. Instead of seeing fear as something to fight against, what if you became curious about it? Ask yourself, where does this fear come from? Is it tied to a past experience? Is it connected to a belief about myself or the world? Sometimes fear is rooted in old patterns or stories we've told ourselves. By getting curious, you can begin to unravel those stories and replace them with ones that empower you. And then there's the power of community. Fear loves to isolate. It tells you that you're the only one struggling, that no one else understands. But the truth is, connection is one of the most powerful tools for overcoming fear. Share your fears with someone you trust, a friend, mentor, or loved one. Not only does this lighten the emotional burden, but it also opens the door for support, advice, and encouragement. Sometimes hearing "I've been there too" is all you need to take the next step. Lastly, let's talk about gratitude. It might seem strange to pair gratitude with fear, but hear me out. Fear often focuses on what could go wrong. Gratitude, on the other hand, reminds us of what's already right. When fear feels overwhelming, take a moment to reflect on the things you're grateful for, your strengths, your support system, your past victories. Gratitude shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from anxiety to empowerment. So, the next time fear shows up, remember that it's not your enemy. It's a part of the human experience, a signal that you're stepping into something meaningful. Welcome it, work with it, and let it guide you toward growth. Because beyond fear lies not just a braver version of yourself, but a wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient one. The journey through fear isn't easy, but it's always worth it. Thank you for being here, for reflecting, and for taking steps toward a life where fear doesn't control you, it fuels you. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's face life's challenges together, one fear at a time, and discover the strength that's been within us all along.